Well, we've got some breaking news going on right now. Of course, this would be Attorney General Jeff Sessions takes aim at sanctuary cities. I'm reading a headline from ABC News. Says the Department of Justice will cut funding. Now, obviously, this is just kind of a first verbal blow, I would say, to sanctuary cities. Maybe not the first, but more of the verbal blow to sanctuary cities from Jeff Sessions, now threatening to cut the federal funding. That was him today. And, you know, this actually provides an interesting talking point here because I am all for states' rights. And there's so much that can come from this. Think about it. Sanctuary cities, to me, don't make any sense at all. It's just a liberal virtue signaling tactic and really a Democrat vote engineering campaign. That's really all it is. The Democrats use sanctuary cities to create more votes, bring in Democrat voters, and the liberals love sanctuary cities because they can virtue signal about it all day. Oh, look at what we did with these sanctuary cities. We'll take anybody. We'll take everybody. And then, of course, you get stories like what we saw in Maryland with the teenager getting raped. But let's get back to Attorney General Jeff Sessions. Now, I am fully behind the Attorney General here cutting federal funding to sanctuary cities. I think this is a great move. You cut off the funding, all of these sanctuary cities will be kaput. The only other option they'll have is to take private funding, which to me, okay, fine. Now you're actually making the liberals out there put their money where their mouth is. All these liberals that say, let's bring in all these refugees, let's bring in all these immigrants. Well, they're not opening their doors in their multi-million-dollar mansions, Leonardo DiCaprio, are they? The list goes on. So now you're forcing sanctuary cities to die via cutting federal funding, or you're forcing liberals to finally put their money where their mouth is and actually take in some of these poor people that they claim they care about so much. So let's say that Jeff Sessions, who knows how long this process will take. I think he's putting this out there saying, hey, look, sanctuary cities, get your act together. We're about to cut your funding, giving them an opportunity to actually figure out what they're going to do before he finally cuts that funding. Okay, so let's say then we reach that point and there will be sanctuary cities remaining, folks. There will be. I would guarantee that. They're going to fight this thing tooth and nail. How far this gets as far as litigation is concerned, I guess we'll wait and see. But if he cuts their federal funding, this also creates a new precedent that some of us might not like, where we say, okay, Jeff Sessions, go ahead and wield your power of purse over sanctuary cities and end them by cutting federal funding. Now, if this works, which you would assume would be a successful tactic, it would force sanctuary cities to go into the private sector. Of course, now you're dealing with the whole sense of illegal immigration becoming an issue again, people actually following the law. So who knows if we'll even need sanctuary cities when you consider that. But now you have Jeff Sessions potentially setting a precedent and realizing the power of the purse, where now he could do this for any policy he doesn't like. For example, the legalization of marijuana. Now, this is something that Jeff Sessions has been very vocally outspoken about. And here's what I would say. Because, to be honest with you, I don't think that Jeff Sessions really understands the battle he's getting behind with the whole marijuana legalization or decriminalization or it being a Schedule II drug or whatever it is. Because he doesn't understand, I think, how many constituents actually would not like these policies that he's putting forward. But, again, this sets an interesting precedent where Jeff Sessions can come in and now say, hey, look, Colorado or Washington, or the list goes on as more states start to legalize marijuana, we're going to cut your federal funding until you follow the federal law, which marijuana use is a federal crime. So while I'm behind Jeff Sessions cutting federal funding to sanctuary cities as a means to stop them, you also have to realize that this could be a precedent that Jeff Sessions sets to impose his will moving forward. And so you need to know what Jeff Sessions' will is as we move forward so we can create a blockade or a support system for whatever policies or agendas he's going to try to move forward with. And here's what I think. Personally, to me, Donald Trump right now is taking this campaign, not necessarily one issue at a time, but he's focusing on one issue at a time and then moving his focus to the next issue whenever he reaches a stall point or a victory point with that issue. For example, with healthcare, even though we feel like he put the ball in Ryan's court, a lot of people say he set Ryan up for failure. Others are putting the onus on Donald Trump. Regardless, he's moved on. He's saying, okay, sorry, we put the bill out there. We were going to cut Planned Parenthood funding. We were going to cut the fines and the taxes. We couldn't get that bill passed, so Donald Trump, I mean, even though they say he loses, really he almost kind of wins if Obamacare continues to collapse, which it will, because he called that from the very beginning. So now he moves forward to the next thing. They're saying it's going to be tax reform. He's always focusing on jobs. We know this. But here's a way, I think, Donald, that you could do both. And I didn't even mean to get off on this jag, but this is where it takes me when I think about Jeff Sessions wielding the power of the federal purse and where potentially that could go. What Donald Trump, to me, needs to realize here, and Jeff Sessions, if you want to continue attacking drugs like heroin, that's fine with me. I think heroin is a serious epidemic in a lot of areas right now. It's a growing epidemic. But marijuana has not reached nearly the level of epidemic that heroin has, and they certainly should not be on the same playing field. But if you look at the economic impact that the legalization of marijuana had on the state of California, I don't see how somebody like Donald Trump doesn't open his eyes to it. Here's a guy that's focused on the economy, focused on jobs, and legalization of marijuana has helped both of those in the state of Colorado. So I don't know if Jeff Sessions has a similar approach perhaps in mind to tackling what he views as a problem, which is marijuana, as far as cutting the federal funding from states, I suppose, that want to have marijuana legal. But this is an interesting precedent that Jeff Sessions could be setting here. And of course, let's remember that this goes on not just to sanctuary cities, but universities as well. And you've got universities right now that are basically giving scholarships to non-citizens where you could say, why aren't these scholarships going to citizens? And of course, that goes with welfare, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Now, before we take this break, here's another news story that's interesting, and even I am not fully aware of the scope of this, but it seems to be going largely uncovered. This is a story from Fox News. Headline, South Africa accused of covering up grisly murder spree. Now, some people are calling this a white genocide. I'm really yet to find that proof. I'm not saying it is or it isn't. Just from the research that I've done, what we do have is farmers in South Africa getting brutally murdered, folks. Not just shot in the head or stabbed to death. We're talking burned. We're talking tortured. We're talking dragged into a ditch. Absolutely horrific stuff. And it's been going on consistently now. Consistently now. 70 attacks, around 25 murders on white farmers. So again, I'm not aware enough of the geosocial problems in South Africa to call this a white genocide. However, they are deeming this, it is being rumored as a cover-up of white genocide, the fact that nobody is talking about this. And it really was amazing to me to read these stories, because typically when you have a story like this with such gruesome content involved, and of course could be race-based, the mainstream news is all over it. But it does seem that they have pretty much largely ignored this quote-unquote white genocide going on in South Africa. Again, I'm not saying it's a white genocide. However, the consistency of farmers that happen to be white being brutally murdered is a story, and it is not being covered in the mainstream media, at least as far as I can tell. And I pretty much monitor it all day long, and I have not seen one story on this, whether it be television news, radio news. Just today, I started to see it surface on social media, but pretty much nothing covered there. So we'll keep an eye on that. Now, we've got some more developments. This is actually interesting. Before we go to break, I'll try to cover this. Associated Press tweets this out today. Breaking, senior counterterror officer says there was no evidence London attacker was associated with the Islamic State or Al-Qaeda. Okay, wait a second. I've got similar stories today saying the exact opposite, saying, A, he was in contact with ISIS, but B, we can't even get all the evidence because some of these technology firms are not allowing us in to their media platforms. We'll have more on this. What do you think on the other side? We'll take your calls. Owen Schroyer, Alex Jones Show, 4th hour. Well, folks, you remember the Cash Me Outside girl? Well, apparently she's going to get a TV deal. So that's what you get in this culture of ours. You just want to be a loudmouth punk? They put you on TV. How about that? And then the kids think you're a hero, like the Kardashians. You know, everybody wants to, you know, I just thought of this. Everyone sit here making a big deal out of fake news. Fake news, fake news, fake news. How about fake people? Everybody complains about fake news. How about fake people? I'm sick of fake people like the Kardashians being idolized by the youth. Now I get some loudmouth punk teenager who goes on TV and spouts off her mouth. Now she gets a TV deal. Great. You know what, though? You know what? That's a thing of the past. Her show will fail. I'm calling it right now. Now, let's get back before I take a couple calls on this. So you've got the Associated Press tweeting out today that the London attacker is not affiliated with ISIS. Okay. Now, on counter reports all over the news, ISIS uses terror attack to sign up YouTube recruits. Google fails to stop deluge of propaganda videos. And it accounts how YouTube has videos of ISIS recruiting people, and then they go and commit heinous crimes. It goes on. Another headline from The Telegraph. WhatsApp accused of giving terrorists a secret place to hide as it refuses to hand over London attackers' messages. So they don't know that. They don't know his messages. They don't know who is messaging him. It goes on from the Mirror. Secret text message ordered the lone wolf to carry out London terror attack. A Sunday Mirror probe has uncovered chilling messages in which jihadi masterminds urge terrorists to mount atrocities in the UK. So then how is it that, and they don't source this, the AP just says senior counter-terror officer says there is no evidence London attacker was associated with Islamic State or Al-Qaeda. Now, is there no evidence because they can't get the evidence, which is what these other reports are saying? Or are you just ignoring all the obvious evidence right in front of your face? Hey, what happened in London? Somebody got in a car, ran people over, and then stabbed somebody. What other events has that happened? Where else does that go on? How else has that happened? Oh, radical Islamic terror. But the Associated Press is going to tell you that there is no evidence. There's no evidence the sun is hot. There's no evidence grass is green. There's no evidence that you need oxygen to live, folks. Thank you, Associated Press. What do you think? Let's take some calls on this. Who's been holding the longest? Let's go to Adam, who says the left hates women. Well, duh, they wanted to elect Hillary Clinton. What are you talking about? I'm so confused. Go ahead, Adam.
Hey, Owen. Hey, thanks for taking my call. And really quick, I just wanted to thank you and Alex and Dave and everyone there at InfoWars just being the tip of the spear, being the voice of reason in this crazy time that we live in. You know, it's not exactly a new archetype, but just lately, you know, the stuff with the Rockville case, this case out of Long Island, just something I've been noticing, especially on social media. You get these leftists, these liberals, especially I notice women. You'd think they'd be defending the victims, but they're not. They're defending the rapists and actually attacking the victims. I just don't understand it. I'm having a real hard time with it.
Well, here's what honestly, the psychological thing is that the left, or the thought process of the left, has so intertwined these webs of thought in their own head that are nothing but double standards and hypocrisy that they really don't even know how to think. So they're basically just spinning in a circle all day. They don't know whether to blame the woman because of the way she was dressed, whether to blame the rapist because he, you know, obviously raped the woman. That would be the obvious one. You blame the rapist. He's the rapist. But, you know, hey, he's from a different culture, you know, where it was okay, and he's just feeling all this pressure coming into a new city. He's just not comfortable. It's not his fault. Look at that woman. She had a halter top on. She was asking to be raped. So what you're talking about here is just the double think on the left, and, I mean, that's really what it comes down to. It's just double think, mindless twits that have, I mean, honestly, liberalism has become a mental disorder. Modern day liberalism is a mental disorder. Let's take another call. Let's go to Evelyn in Texas. Real quick, Evelyn, go ahead.
Hi, Owen. This is Evelyn. I'm calling about an issue that was a little bit earlier concerning education here in Texas. I'm in the Houston area. 50% of A-Leaf Independent School District is Hispanic. And assuming that just a few of those are illegals, I found out just recently that none of the schools ask for or will ask for a Social Security number and or a certificate of birth.
Wow.
So,
But they'll ask all of us for our vaccines. I promise you that. More of the Alex Jones Show on the other side. We got a statement from Alex on the other side of this break.